Hello and welcome to another video of my fluff chucking chums. I do apologise for the lack of videos at the moment, but I've been slightly unwell. Starting to get on the mend now though, so get cracking with some time videos, seeing what all on this awful lockdown. So on the screen is a list of materials you're going to need for this, and we're going to tie the atomic, or my version of an atomic blob. This pattern is weighted, so we're going to use some medium lead wire, like so. And we're going to put 10 wraps on the hook, starting from the back. Going to work 10 coils up towards the eye and then break the wire off. Leave yourself around about 2-3 mil between the eye and the end of the wire, just to give you space to tie off. The thread we're going to be using today is UTC 70 fluorescent fire orange. You can use 140 if you prefer. My preference is just to use the finer threads. As always, we're going to begin by tying on and sinking away the waste material there. We're going to take the thread back through the lead wire just to hold it in place. It doesn't have to be battened down, it doesn't really matter, it's going to be hidden anyway. And we're just going to go to the back of the hook shank and stop there. First up, we're going to introduce the 15mm fritz, which is in atomic yellow. And then the underbody is going to be the 6mm fritz in safety orange. Next up, we're going to take the fritz and just expose about 3mm of the core just by pulling the fibres off like so. Then introduce the core to the back of the hook and just tie on. Once that's been secured with a few turns of thread, just carefully take the thread back up between the lead again, just to batten it down a little bit more. And then we're going to start taking the fritz up towards the eye of the hook in even turns. We're going to go for about 3 to 4 turns initially. Every time you put a turn of fritz down, just gently ease the fibres back with your fingers. And then at this point, we're going to secure the fritz in place with a few turns, keeping the fibres back, and we're going to pull all the fibres back and just trap everything behind the thread there for a second. Now we're going to take the 6mm fritz in orange. We've exposed the core already, a few millimetres at the front. We're going to tie that in and secure it with a few turns of thread. Continue with the thread around 3mm towards the eye of the hook and just leave it there. Take the orange fritz and work your way up to where you've stopped with the thread, and then just trap that in. Don't forget to keep stroking those fibres back as you go up there, just to keep everything nice and neat. We are ideally looking for around 4 turns here before you trap it in. What we're going to do is just bring the thread over and just trap that down with a few turns, bring everything back as we did previously, and then trim away the waste fritz. We're now going to take our yellow fritz and cover the orange. Slightly open turns here, not too close. You want a little bit to bleed through. That will become apparent later when I show you the finished pattern. Bring this up towards the eye, again stroking all the fibres back, and then we're going to tie this off. This is normally the part where the fritz becomes absolutely and totally unruly, and it can be a bit of a pain. But just keep carefully taking the fibres back and make sure you leave yourself enough just behind the eye so you can strip the core, as I'm doing here. So you can strip the core and get that core wrapped round once, and then we're going to tie the thread over it to secure. Get a couple of turns across the core, and then we're going to pull everything back as we have done throughout the pattern there, just to keep a nice profile, keep all the fibres flowing towards the rear of the hook, and then just try and build up a small neat head. Don't worry too much about the odd rogue fibre. I'm sure the fish don't mind. We do try to get a neat head on these patterns, but sometimes you will get the odd little fibre sticking out. You can actually carefully take a lighter, and you can actually melt the rogue fibres away from the eye, but I prefer not to. I just try to cover it with the thread, which you can do eventually. Just be patient with it. Once you're happy with the head of the fly, we're just going to do a 5-turn whip finish. To finish the fly, I'm going to apply a small drop of UV resin to the head and then cure that off. And there you have my version of the yellow Atomic Blob. It doesn't look much at the moment, but once it gets wet, that orange really pops through. Really good fish catcher, featured in quite a lot of my videos on YouTube if you have a look through them. It catches fish all year round. You can free line it on a floating line, or you can fish it under the bow. Thank you very much for watching, take care, and I'll see you all very soon.